Now to the coronavirus pandemic, and Britain is reporting more than 93,000 new infections. That's the country's third record total in a row. The sharp increase is being attributed to the fast-spreading Omicron variant. Germany, meanwhile, is also bracing for an Omicron surge. Health Minister Karl Lauterbach has warned that this latest coronavirus variant will pose a major challenge to hospitals, intensive care units and to society as a whole.
I'm assuming there will be a massive fifth wave. I'm in close communication with colleagues in England, both in politics and in science. We've coordinated with each other, and these colleagues say that what they are seeing there is worse than anything they've seen before during the pandemic. This means that we must prepare ourselves for a challenge unlike any we've had before.
Let's look at that challenge with Kai Kupferschmidt, who's a journalist and molecular biologist. He joins us from here in Berlin. Welcome to DW. Let's start with the Omicron threat, as it were. Germany's infection rates have dropped to their lowest level for more than a month. So is the health minister right to sound so alarmed about Omicron?
Yes, I think in this particular situation, he's certainly right. And you know, while our infection levels right now are lower than they've been for a month, do remember that they are still, amongst the highest that we've seen in the last 2 years. So we still have hospitals that are, sometimes overwhelmed, sometimes close to being overwhelmed. And now on top of this, and all of this is Delta, right? And now on top of this, we get Omicron, and it is spreading faster than anything we've seen before in this pandemic. And so even if a lot of people are reinfected and have a fairly mild disease, something that spreads this fast is always going to end up creating more and more cases than you can deal with. And so this coming at in a situation where we already have crowded hospitals is going to be a real problem. And I think he's right to call that out.
Right. And Karl Lauterbach has also talked about the possibility of a fourth booster jab next year, tweaked to deal with Omicron. So is this our future now? Injections every 6 months or so as vaccine efficacy wanes and new variants spring up?
Personally, I don't think so. And one reason for that is that what we're going to find out with Omicron now, this is the first variant that really has a lot of immune escape that can reinfect people who've been infected or been vaccinated. And what we're going to find out is how well that last line of defense holds, so how well we are still protected from severe disease. At the moment, it looks like the risk of being symptomatically infected is very big again, even if you've had 2 shots of Pfizer, for instance. It's lower if you've had a booster. But we still think that probably the protection from severe disease is quite strong, and that's probably the most important thing. Also, we will see in the future next generations of vaccines coming that hopefully create a broader immunity that maybe protect against other variants as well. So I really don't think we're going to be in for a new shot every 6 months. And I think we have to be very careful about hoarding these vaccines in anticipation of that, because, of course, there are a lot of people around the world who haven't even got a first shot.
Yeah, so what have we learned then about, or from Omicron hotspots like South Africa and the United Kingdom? Are there lessons to be learned from their experience?
Yes, I think at this point, we can draw a few lessons. And the first one is this spreads incredibly fast. We've seen that in South Africa, in Denmark, in Norway, in the UK. That creates its own problems, and we have to keep that in mind. The other thing that we've seen very clearly is it does have a higher risk of reinfecting people who've been infected before. And it does infect people who've had 2 doses of Pfizer, for instance, but haven't had a booster. So we do know that these things are really important, and we have seen a lot of super spreading events again already. And so we do know that it does help to slow this down by reducing contacts a little bit, or at least creating fewer situations where a lot of people can be infected at once. And so all of these things, I think we now have to take forward and try to prepare. We don't have a lot of time given how fast this spreads. But certainly in January, we're going to be deep in an Omicron wave. And What happens then is probably going to be crucial.
OK, thank you for that. A journalist and a molecular biologist, Kai Kupferschmidt.